I'm Marty Leonard, lived in Fort Worth all of my life, and since we're celebrating the airport's 50th, I know exactly when it opened, because I know how old I am. I'm 87 at this particular point. So,
Lyda Hill, born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and involved with the airport through the Junior League, and working on the committee that helped open it. And I'm 81, and so this has been part of my life forever.
well, I was president of the Junior League in Fort Worth at that particular time that this came about. So, and it was really unique. A lot can speak to this as well. Of course, we were separate ones, and we had never worked together on a project like this, which was
On any project.
Well, yeah, not like that. You're right, not just like this, but any project. And so it was really special, and of course it was totally unknown. We'd never done anything like this, even come close. So there were a lot of questions about things, and it took quite a bit of doing. And Lyda was involved. She was president of the league after later.
10 years later.
Was it that much later?
Yeah. I was young when I worked on this.
It was a unique. I knew it was very unique because we were friendly, of course, with all junior leagues, I guess, but for us to work together, and I guess they figured, and of course we benefited from it, obviously.
I happen to know that when they were working on, we want to have a joint airport, and they needed to find a location, and Eric Johnson, head of Texas Instruments, sent his people out looking to figure out where would be an appropriate location, what was available, and they did, and he bought the property. And then later, when the airport folks who were working on the airport came up with where they needed to be, that property was available for $1 more than he paid for it. And that's the type of business leadership that made this airport happen.
I think Baird Friedman was very involved at the time with Fort Worth. He was mayor, of course, for a long time. And, vision is the big word in this. You know, there are a lot of people that have visions about things, but they don't make them. It doesn't come true, and that's what's happened here. They had the vision, and this is the result. The thing that I remember, and I know we talk about the airport a good bit, but there was a real intense rivalry between Dallas and Fort Worth as far as airports and airlines and that kind of thing. And
well, Dallas had Love Field, and we were perfectly happy with Love Field.
Fort Worth tried to have their own airport, and they did for a while.
Carter started an airport saying this is it.
He had his own vision of what he thought Fort Worth should have. People that had the animosity still couldn't quite get over it. And that's probably was more on the Fort Worth side than it was Dallas.
We'd always put down Fort Worth because we were the big guy, you know, and we were the modern thing, and they were Cowtown, and
Still are.
still are, thank heavens.
I know.
To some of the things that I helped do.
I know you did. Lyda's been very active in Fort Worth community as well as them.
The nice things is that the way Marty and I met is we both played golf.
That's right. That's how we got to know
And
each other.
we played golf, and we'd go to golf tournaments. And so I learned that Fort Worth wasn't too bad because she said, is born and raised Dallasite. That was, yeah. But then as I started investing in Fort Worth, and I invested in other projects in Fort Worth, it's where the West begins. And I've done a lot over there. But we were very fortunate. Both cities at the time, the reason it was able to happen is because we had great leaders who were businessmen who understand the business of the economy for both cities. And what this has done for the economy is remarkable. And Eric Johnson was a spectacular. We were so fortunate the head of Texas Instruments was involved and was mayor because he had the vision. He knew that this was the right thing to do, and we needed to put them together, and that this would help both cities move forward, and it would help the entire community of North Texas.
Well, I guess we were like little brother. You know, we were glad to be a part of it. And Dallas was the main, getting things going and making it happen. And we started going. So for Fort Worth, it was a really big deal, of course. And we didn't know how much big a deal it was going to be as it has turned out to be now. But of course, it accommodates Fort Worth just as well as it does. The airport does as well as Dallas.
You had a lot of brilliant business people who were looking at their companies and the future in Dallas, and they knew that it had to grow. It was going to grow, and how it was going to grow was dependent on what they did. And so I think that's why so many people jumped in, and in many ways, whatever worked for them, whatever their ability to be part of it. They wanted to be part of Dallas getting bigger and growing and being an important player to their families, their offices, and Texas. Well, maybe the world. Junior League was in charge of the opening event. What we put on was a party. There's never been a party with both cities. So that made it extra big. And
that was a real partnership. And Fort Worth and Dallas hadn't always done that, so it was very important in lots of other ways in addition to the airport itself, what it's brought to our community.
When we came out and started working on the opening, we were on dirt roads. There were not roads. I mean, there were a couple of roads, but there were dirt roads that we worked on.
And nobody knew where they were going, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because they'd never been there before. But there were lines of cars. I mean, the traffic was just incredible in trying to get in here.
They had to have a lot of vision for that opening party because the terminal was not finished. Back in the early days, baggage in a new terminal like this were in a carousel. Those were the buffets. That's where they had the food for the opening, the carousels. And where you would go to the planes, where you would leave the terminal to go to the plane, that's where the bar was, because they could bring ice and so forth in the back of that to serve people. And then they had, because the terminal was big enough, they had music, as Marty alluded to, in both ends of the terminal, so that there were things going on at both ends.
One of the real draws was the Concorde, because nobody'd seen it, and didn't know, were really anxious to see it. And of course, it's such a sleek-looking, neat, airplane back in those days.
This is the book that was the program. It's very thick, as you can tell. The program for the evening, and it costs a whole $1. I think it says, $1.
This is a picture of my younger sister and me. As you can tell, a little difference in the hair color. So it's 50 years ago. This was taken at the airport, at the opening itself. And I've had this up in my home for all these many years. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything else but this, but I did find this one, so you've seen that lot.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's a long time ago.
It really did a lot for Dallas and for business, and so I think that that's something that people look forward to and were excited about. And DFW really, once it got going, it really helped people travel, because they knew that from DFW you could go a lot of places in the world very easily. That helped the travel, it helped people enjoy themselves, it helped corporations.
Well, of course, the airport is important because it enables people, a lot of businesses to settle here because we're in the part of the country, because it's easy to get in and out of, and like living here. And so I think that has a lot to do with our location, really, honestly, in the whole U.S. And that's becomes rather obvious with all the flights that go in and out of here. Everybody has to come through DFW to get someplace else.
It brings a tremendous number of, not just tourists, but you got to remember that the business aspect, the freight that comes in and out of here is huge. I mean, freight doesn't all go on trucks. Yeah, a lot does, but we don't have a port. This is our port. This is the way that Dallas can get a lot of business goods in and out. I'm thrilled that it has the property that it has to be able to continue to grow and service the area, not just people, but the business of the area, because that's what allows people to live well and to have good jobs.
It's the center to a great extent of a lot that goes on here, for sure.